Yeah. All right. Welcome to another episode of Panakal Podcast for Geeks, the show about good friends hanging out talking about things we all love. Our guest today is Tawny Fritz. We finally got. You've been on before, I think. I don't remember.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
Halloween episode.
Halloween episode, yeah. And then my co-host Andrew Sides. Sorry, we're about 2 minutes late.
Wait, did I do the Halloween episode or the one with about the tarot deck?
Yeah, I think you were on the tarot deck one with Stephanie Cost.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought you were on. I thought you were on the Halloween episode too.
Possibly. We've done several Halloween episodes.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe one from before. I don't know. I've been on the show a couple times.
Yeah, there we go. Let me just make sure everything's firing off, but I think we're good. Firing off, but I think we're good. I just heard my own voice, so it sounds like we're fine. So I invited you on today to talk about let's talk about your Kickstarter first.
Okay.
You wanted to do a coloring book and you did it.
I did it.
Yeah.
I believe it funded day one, right?
Oh yeah, within I think 3 hours. It was like 2.5 hours it funded.
Jeez.
I mean, it was I set a low goal so that like if we reach the goal, like our overall goal was to buy a certain number of books. And if we set the goal to buy that many books, there was a chance we wouldn't make it. And then you don't get any of the funds, right? So we were like, we'll set it a little lower so that if it funds at like bare bones, then at least some of the books will be paid for. And we won't have to eat that whole cost out of pocket, but it funded,
Right.
We'll be able to buy all the books that we wanted to get. So yay.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Keep talking, guys. I'm sorry. I think Twitch. I can't. Twitch logged in.
YouTube's all okay in terms of audio and stuff or whatever.
Okay, good. Twitch for some reason is just giving me problems.
I'm legit surprised you have not done a coloring book before, or have you? I don't think you have, right?
No, I've done coloring pages like on Patreon or Gumroad or my website.
Okay.
Yeah, I was always weirdly resistant to a coloring book. I don't really know why. Like it was just this weird personal hang up I had, and then I don't know. Sometime last year, I was like, I have a lot of art that like I could easily. It's already a coloring page, or I could, turn it into one. And then I realized I did a whole series of zodiac drawings, like 2019, 2020. And so I was like, those could be a coloring book. And then it was just sort of like not even a really well planned out project because I have my own limitations and it's hard for me to plan things and follow through. So I was like, I have the art done.
Just package it together.
Yeah, package it together, kickstart it, so at least like some of the books will be like funded, and then figure out how to do a book layout. So
that's the layout is sometimes the hardest part of the book.
Yeah, and luckily with a coloring book, I don't have to worry about like color being accurate because it's black and white line art. So that's a positive. Cover design, like I was always like kind of intimidated by stuff like that, and it wasn't until like the last couple of years that I realized for me the best path forward is not trying to follow some well-established like guidelines or path and just kind of do it the way that I want to do it and what is like I am capable of doing. So yeah, it's pretty simple. It's not a very complex coloring book. Like it's 12 drawings and they're each printed twice. So you mess one up, it's like, oh, I still have another Scorpio I can color.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that at all.
Yeah. And the back of the pages are blank except for the name of like the coloring pages here, and then this side is like blank with the name right there. But the back of the coloring page is pretty much blank. So you're not gonna like ruin one coloring page just to color with markers on another one. So
right. For coloring pages, do you have to like, okay, when I think of black and white art, I always go to like, heavy spot blacks and that kind of thing, but I always feel like with coloring books, you don't get a lot of that usually. It's usually pretty open line art. Did you have to do any kind of conversion like that with your artwork, or because I feel like you do a lot of spot blacks?
Yeah, I do. And the drawings that I used for this book, most of them had a black background with like white stars on them. And you can get away with that a lot. There are coloring books out there that have a lot of black. But I chose to go in and like remove that and then just like draw little stars in there so that like someone could color it, you know, a nebula or
Color
whatever in the
background in.
background. Yeah, so I chose to go in and it wasn't a whole lot to adjust it. And then I added like some border elements just to, you know, give more to color. And to have like a cohesive sort of border on every page. So,
Okay.
But now you've got
Yeah,
like the itch, right? So you're probably gonna make a couple more.
yeah, but I mean, I'm not gonna promise it because I am not good at following through on things I promise. So I'm not gonna promise it, but I do have a couple of ideas that I'm starting to kind of kick around. And if they happen, great. If not, then you know, it is
Sure.
what it is.
I mean, I briefly
yeah.
checked before we went live. It looks like you're well over the 2,000 mark, which is awesome. 'Cause your goal
Yeah.
was
Yep.
1,000, right?
2637
Yeah.
is at this rate.
I
And
know.
you
I'm
got
so excited. Like,
how many
and
days left?
the more I
19.
like,
Yeah, you got time.
yeah, I've got like 19 days. So, I think it's probably gonna sort of like toe and just kind of like slowly creep up as people discover it through Kickstarter or like it gets shared by someone. But I mean, we're happy with it where it
Yeah.
is now. So every
So
backer beyond this is just like more, you know, more
just
books out in
bonus.
the world, and that's
Yeah.
exciting. So,
So what usually happens with Kickstarters is, and it's probably going to happen with your coloring book as well, is it slows down in the middle to the point where it feels like it's
yeah,
just dead, and you're like, "What the
yeah,
fuck is happening? No one's looking." And then the last week, usually the last 2 days, if not the last day, you get all these people who are like. So what happens is anyone who click that remind me button versus
yeah,
funding it right now, they get a
yep.
reminder from Kickstarter 48 hours before it closes. So
And
those
then they
last
run
2 days,
and
yeah,
do
you'll
it. Yeah,
notice it goes up. And
yeah,
there's two problems with that. One, there's two problems you're gonna run into, which is, let's say you decide you have 19 days. So if you're posting about it, and I'm talking about this now because Brian and I were having a discussion about this before, but like if you send something to your followers right now saying, "Hey, don't forget, I got this Kickstarter going," two things can happen. One, your followers are gonna be like, "Oh shit, I forgot I want to get this book," and they're gonna get it. Or two, people are gonna be like, "I kind of want to put this money for this other project," and it never fails. It goes one way or the other for these projects. You
Oh.
know, like so it's always like a, do I want to share this again or do I want to wait? And those last 48 hours I find is where you'll get a bunch of people coming in, but you also notice like when my book was about to close, I lost like 15 or 20 people, and I was like,
Oh,
oh
really?
shit, it was a lot, yeah, because I saw my funding just go down and I saw it just come back up, right? But in your case, you're well over your pledge. I was only,
yeah. I think we have a pretty solid buffer.
yeah, you got a good buffer. I was only slightly over my cost was too high.
Yeah,
If I ever do a book again, I will never mark it at a goal of a 15 grand or whatever. I had 12 grand or whatever it was 15, I think.
I would have been so stressed out if I tried because like
I need to
what I
check my
wanted
own
to do
thing.
with the book, like I wanted it to have the two images printed twice, blank backs. I want perforated pages because there's a lot
they
of
take it out.
coloring book enthusiasts that like to tear out the pages
Yeah.
or or whatever. And then I would love to have like a soft matte cover with that gold foil. And the gold
That'd
foil
be
Oh
nice.
yeah.
yeah, the gold foil was gonna be a stretch goal, but I was like, I just want them to have the gold foil cover. So like that's just gonna be that's it. If I
Yeah.
do like if I upload it to Amazon to do Amazon KDP version of it, it'll have the black. Like it won't have the gold foil. I don't know if I'm gonna do that, but I wanted the ones that I made to have the gold foil. So I was like, whatever, that's not even gonna be a stretch goal because I want that. I'd love to have the soft matte cover. So if we get to like a certain point, then that'll be another stretch goal. Perforated pages are the first stretch goal. So if we get to 5K, then we get perforated pages. Beyond that, it's probably gonna be a soft matte cover. And it's perfect bound, so it's not like spiral bound or anything like that. I want it to feel like, you know, a really like a solid coloring book that,
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of different. It's interesting because I never really paid attention to the fact that like there's a whole world of like coloring enthusiasts out there. I knew people liked coloring, like coloring books for adults, but I
Yeah.
never really took it seriously until I dove into a couple of subreddits, and people are like mad about it. They love it and they do beautiful coloring. So I'm super excited to have my books out there and like have people coloring it and coloring the pages
Yeah.
and like seeing what what they choose and decisions they make and stuff. But I also wanted to make sure that, you know, once I learned that like there's this whole community, like they support each other. There's like YouTubers who like will color live or like review color. Like there's a whole world of it. And
Mhm.
so my mindset is they take it seriously. So if I'm gonna make something like marketed to them, I want to take it seriously. Like I
Yeah.
want it to be something that they're excited to have in their hands. I don't want it to just be like, oh well, coloring book sells, so I'll just like throw one out there. Which was kind of like when I very first had the idea to do a coloring book, I kind of had that mindset. But then as I dug in to learn like what people want in a coloring book, I was like, oh, they love this stuff. So like I was like, I gotta take it seriously too, and I gotta make something that's worth having in your hands.
Yeah,
That's what
I didn't realize the hype around coloring books until maybe hey, what's up, Joanna? Joanna's watching. That's cool.
Hi.
Yeah, I didn't realize the hype around coloring books until like you and I were talking about it for a minute. You've been talking about coloring books with me for a minute, and then you realize like there's a whole community around it, and it's just like, you and I were talking about this last week because I was just like, I never really thought about doing coloring books because that's just not my. I have to have color, man. Like it's so hard for me. To, like when I'm working in my grayscales for my art, it's like that's the hardest. Literally, concepting comes to me fairly easy, but working in grayscale comes really not easy for me because I want to go right into the color, right? So okay. Well, I had a question for you regarding some of this your subject matter. Like, why did you specifically want to do the zodiac? I guess.
So. I actually didn't set out to draw the entire zodiac. The first piece was Pisces because that's what I am. And it didn't even start out as Pisces. I drew that in 2019. I don't know. It was a while back. And when I first drew it, it was, if you remember, it's like I have it right there if you want to see it, but she's got her eyes closed and she just kind of looks like she's like exhaling slightly. And then there's like two fish like in space and in her hair. And so that was just a piece for me to like center myself. And then I realized as I was drawing it, I was like, there's two fish in this. And so I think this might be Pisces. And then after that I drew Scorpio. Because I was thinking about like my sister, she's a Scorpio, and then Cancer. Those were the first three. And they were the only three for like a really long time. I had no intention to draw the zodiac. But of course what happened was I went to a couple conventions and they had just those three. And if you ever, I'm just going to put this out there for artists, if you ever want to do any of the zodiac and take it to conventions, because the one that you don't have is going to be the one people ask for. And people love zodiac because they want their own sign. They know someone who's a Taurus, so they'll buy Taurus stuff. They're looking for gifts. It's a solid series to do. If you're looking to do a series of things, zodiac's not a bad thing to do. And so I started digging into like what the other signs like symbology and stuff was, and I want to draw faces and I wanted to draw the zodiac. So it was like it was faces with like their kind of stuff just in
what represents them. Yeah.
I
mean, your hair
and
flows,
there was actually
someone
there was someone recently who I posted no, it was the video that my 13-year-old made of the images, and someone on TikTok asked about the Capricorn one and picked up on the fact that the hair is a braid that looks like a mermaid tail. And I was so excited that they picked that up. I was like, oh my God, you know that. And they were really excited that like, so people look for their, their favorite symbols and their favorite representations of their own zodiac sign when they're into that thing. So, it was like, and then I was going to do a series of coloring pages, and it was around the time that like Instagram kind of like fell off, and so I released it on Instagram and it was crickets, and I was like, I was kind of like I was not devastated, but I was like so frustrated. I was like, whatever, I'm not doing like this. I'm just gonna do what I want.
Right.
And I let it sit for a really long time, and it wasn't until last year when I was like, I think I do want to do a coloring book, like have a physical book. But I didn't for myself. Like I love when artists do art books and sketchbooks and stuff like that. But I wanted something that people could use. Like there's people who collect art books, but I wanted something people could use and would like do something with. So I was like, well, what do I? Coloring books like the default for that, and then from there it took off, and now it is what it is, and people are really excited. I'm really excited to see how people color it.
People are going to have a field day with the hair. That's going to be awesome.
I think so. I hope so.
Oh, yeah. something I wonder now. Like now that you mentioned that there's like a big community about it, it's like does everyone primarily color with dry media like crayons and colored pencils, or do people use like paint on some of these or anything like that?
Um, most of what I've
Or have you
seen,
seen any of that at all within like the
I haven't
YouTubers or anything
seen
like
I haven't seen people do. I've seen people do watercolor
that?
on some
Yeah,
of
I've
them.
seen
Oh,
that.
But
okay.
it's hard because it's paper usually, so like a lot of the
And it's
paint type
usually pretty
media.
flimsy
Yeah.
paper.
But a lot of people use markers like Copics and stuff. And so the pages are
Oh,
70 pound or 80 pound.
80.
Which if I get
At
to a
least
certain
according to
point,
Kickstarter.
yeah, like I
It
want it
says
to be
80
like
on your
pretty good paper.
Kickstarter.
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
so I don't know what's in that Kickstarter. I wrote it, but I don't know what's in it.
sure.
And that's another kind of secret personal stretch goal is that if we get to a certain point, I can make the paper even thicker so
Mhm.
that like, I would love to have coloring books that like in the front of my coloring book there's a tip that says slide a sheet of paper under so like your markers don't bleed because
Right.
the paper weight is solid. It's for a coloring book, but it's still like certain markers will bleed. But I'd love to get to the point where like I can do thicker paper so that you don't have to worry about that. Like that would be amazing.
Yeah, if you can like actually like
So,
paint on it, that would be kind of cool.
yeah. And I'm gonna have like I think I'm gonna have some little blurbs in the front of it that's like, if you want to practice drawing faces or you want to practice inking to like use a light box and put a sheet of
Mm.
paper on it and trace it. Like just practice inking
Yeah.
in that way, like because they're long flowy lines, so just practice tracing the lines that are there. It's not like a how to draw book, but maybe having just a couple of little like
Yeah,
tips
you get
for
muscle
how
memory from
make
tracing,
things.
man.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, I mean, so I mean, I'll tell you, if you do a second book, it'll probably fund way past the goal on this first one. That's usually how Kickstarter works.
Yeah, as you know, because I've talked to you about it, I have one.
I'm not
I
gonna
have a
mention
couple of
it. I'm
ideas.
just, I know, yeah.
Yeah, I
We'll
know
keep
I
that.
want
We'll
to,
keep them
but
guessing.
I know maybe I shouldn't. I'm
No,
so
no, don't
excited about
mention
it.
it. Don't mention it.
Okay,
Let's
okay.
just say the fact that you have several
But I think
ideas
it's gonna
and
be fun, and it's gonna have. So let me a little hint though. If it's there's two different they're sort of like in the works because I was like, if I tell myself, okay, well I'm gonna do this type of coloring book, and I want this many drawings for it, inevitably by about drawing 7 or 8, I'm gonna be sick of it. So what I've decided is I have 2 different ideas and like a third kind of percolating too. I'm gonna do the art that I feel like doing that day, just with those kind of in mind, right?
right.
And then whichever one has a collection of drawings, by the time I'm ready to launch another Kickstarter, that's the one that gets made.
That's
And
Okay.
as I
not a
get
bad
towards the end of
plan,
that,
man.
Yeah.
Because you're not
yeah,
Yeah.
forcing
What
because
yourself
I
to
does
know
like
have
work
to
on
my
something.
own like I will self-sabotage,
Right.
and I know that about myself. If I say, okay, I'm gonna do like Zodiac 2 and I'm gonna do 12 more drawings, it's not gonna happen.
You're gonna
It
be
won't
like, yeah. I mean, that's not a bad idea,
Like,
man.
I don't
It's
like being told what to do, even by myself. Like, I don't want me to tell me what to. That's how
you're like,
resistant.
fuck this note I wrote down. I'm what
Like,
I should work
ask Tawny. She don't have to. I don't have to listen to her. So,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm doing
So,
something similar with book 3. Like I have stories for up to 5 books. But the
yeah,
thing is like I got bored of, well, I shouldn't say bored. I love my stuff, but I got bored is the right word to describe how I'm feeling because it's exactly what you just said. I'm like, I need to make an illustration for this story. I need to make an illustration for that story. And then what I've been doing on book 3 is it's basically just whatever I end up creating, I'm like, which book can I put this in?
yeah,
And then
Yeah.
just putting it in like some of you know I took Smart School with Scott. So like in that class, all the illustrations I did minus the ones I deviated this last term. I started doing characters from D&D stuff because I'm playing D&D. But the pieces I did in that class I did specifically for my book. When I took Scott early on, I was like, this is all got to go into book 2. So you can only work on pieces from book 2. But it got to what happened is I couldn't finish a piece. There's a character in there I never finished. I'm still trying to finish because I was just like done with it. And then in the last class, I did a fairy
and then you
character.
can't work on anything else because you're telling yourself you can't work on
Right.
anything else until this is done.
Right. So in the back of
Yeah.
my head, I was like, you didn't finish that, and it's due. So then this last session, I purposely picked a piece from the next. I went ahead one book because I was like, there's this two cool characters I created, and I made one and I used them in the D&D campaign. So I was able to double dip. I made another character that I've been a pirate captain I've been thinking about doing for literally 7 or 8 months. and I'm enjoying it. My problem is I work really slow, so it's like there's that standstill. But I'm already creating illustrations for book 4, which is kind of makes me feel like that's a dumb move, but also I'm enjoying the art, right? So it's like I feel like you're doing the same thing where you're like creating pieces, and you could easily just be like, I'll save this one for the 5th coloring book.
Yeah, I've got 5 new drawings that I haven't posted anywhere yet.
I was looking at, I have, I'm not going to go digging through that flat file again, but it's in there because I never framed it, but I'm waiting on your Nightcrawler. But you created a piece way back in the day. It was, I believe it was called Thibodeau. And
oh, Maggie and Tibbs, yep.
And I was looking at that piece. It's literally a woman with an alligator, right?
Yeah.
And
he's a shapeshifter, but he's usually an alligator.
Yeah, and it reminds me of I love this book called Alabaster by Caitlin Kiernan. It's basically about a girl that's hunting angels on a base level, right? But like it's all in like southern, like it's got that Louisiana vibe to it. And I thought I was looking at that piece. I was thinking, man, you could do a whole coloring book with this series if you wanted to. Yeah. Zodiac is obviously easier to pitch and sell, right?
Yeah.
But once you got a couple coloring books under your belt with specific subjects that people enjoy, then that's when you come in with like a new wildness,
Yeah. And I'd love to, like, if I'm dreaming like lofty or whatever, I would love to get to a point where like I have a few pieces that are coloring page-esque of like technically fan art just to show, because I'd love to be able to do like, I know these already exist, like the Witcher coloring book already exists, or Supernatural coloring book already exists, but like that kind of thing, that's because I love doing, I don't like doing likeness portraits of like real people, but like celebrities and stuff, I enjoy it. That's something I do when I have art block,
because they're not real people.
Yeah, they're not real people. But like, I don't know, it's different. Because the thing is, like, if someone's like, will you do a portrait of like Henry Cavill,
you have to
like,
see them later.
But if you drew a drawing of someone's like nephew or their kid or their husband, it's not gonna look right to them because you don't. It's
right. Right. No, I totally get what you're saying.
It's really a weird distinction, but yeah, like someday I'd love to do like those kind of coloring books. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you mess that up, you're gonna have a lot of angry. You're gonna have somebody personal or somebody close to you.
I think some of that also is like the reference that's usually given. There's like a celebrity or whatever. They're usually shot with like
there's tons of reference. You can go pull more reference if you're like, the nose looks weird. Let me go look at, Jensen Ackles' nose and like make it right.
Constant reference, and then if you think about it long enough, you figure like, okay, most of the reference is coming from either film or red carpet.
Where they look amazing, right?
They look amazing, and on top of that, they also are shot with like a long lens, so at least like 70 millimeter or higher. So like their features look nicer as a result. But like you think of like most reference photos that are sent from like Joe Sixpack or whoever, random person,
right?
It's like from their iPhone or something, and the iPhone's like a shitty wide angle thing, so like their kid's nose is like this giant fucking thing on their face.
And I don't know how to fix that on the the thing. And there are some portrait artists out there that they nail it. Like some people they got it down and they do that. It's like, so when someone asks me for like a likeness portrait of a beloved, I'm just like, who you need to talk to? This person. Right. Like I'll be like, you're gonna want them. Like you don't.
There's artists in our group who like, here in Chicago actually, I've hung out where they're like I don't know if you guys know Chris Pueller. Like that dude drew a portrait of me one time over, just hanging out at the bar, having a drink. He was just like standing there. And he drew this quick sketch of me, and I was just like, "Fuck out of here!" Like it was ridiculously good.
There's people out there that are just they kill it, and it's like I
was like, you looked at me for 5 minutes, and then whatever, man. Kudos to you. You're that good.
But yeah, after I have like a couple coloring books out, then I feel like it's going to be a little easier to put more out, and maybe I don't know how to like get into the whole coloring book world, because it seems like a lot of them need agents, and I'm like, how do you come up with
agents will come to you.
But I think once I have a couple of like, say what?
I said agents will come to you, and you also know the right people to talk to get it.
I kind of feel like once I have like kind of proof of
concept,
concept, I guess.
Yeah, once you have a couple under your belt, then you can be like, hey, check it out. I have whatever 3 Kickstarters. They were all successful. Here's my books. Want to represent me? Let's make. Because once you get those, because the agent's gonna help you get those books to like Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, and then someone else does the printing and like the cover design. Like, thank you. I just want to send you the files of the like finished like drawing that I did.
Yes,
Like,
that's exactly what I would love to happen with my books. Because
I mean, who among us, right?
Dude, I hate all the legwork I have to do right now just to like anything. I'm like, oh, I fucking hate this.
And dealing with like shipping, like that's why I do want to, like, if anybody's international and interested in like a physical book, I am incapable of figuring out how to ship international. So digital is what I offer for the international backers at this time. If I ever have like a distribution warehouse or something, then I'll be able to offer that. But
you need a distribution warehouse overseas.
Like overseas,
Yes.
yeah. So I would love to get to that point where I'm able to do that, because I would love to be able to send them overseas, but like I know my limitations. Don't want to overwhelm myself and stress myself out. That's the opposite purpose of a coloring book.
Yeah, the stress is gonna. Well, I mean, the overseas shipping was something we'll talk about next week because Brian does that all day.
Oh, good. I'm gonna tune in that for sure.
It's very interesting.
I was gonna say, like,
there's a lot.
Like at this, it's hard because like scale that I'm assuming that it is right now. Like, yeah, it's like almost impossible to ship overseas.
Yeah,
fucking terrible. So like, one of my brothers actually works for a company that does that kind of drop shipping for. He's described it as like we're that middle point where it's like, if say like an author, right, self-published author, whatever, they've grown beyond the point where they can store books in their garage, but they aren't large enough yet to have their own warehouse and distribution network. But they need a solution. And he's like, that's what our company does. We offer drop shipment things. We store the shit for them.
Are you telling me your brother can drop ship all my stuff for me?
Or I'm going to be hitting you up in a couple years when I need that.
You and I have to talk after this. I literally just met with my printer last week to discuss drop shipping books, playmats, metal, prints, all over the place. And the only reason I met with them is because they're down the street from me.
It's really, and I understand why it is, but as someone who's a small creator, there is this weird like limbo that you get in where like at the point I am right now, I'm too small to be able to do like any kind of big distribution, right? So shipping is always going to be way more expensive per item for me right now.
Right.
And then so you have to like deal with that for a while until you get enough, of a fan base or whatever that's into your stuff to be able to pay the cheaper rates for shipping. And it's like,
well, the cheaper rates come.
But it's like once you get to that point, it's like it snowballs, and then you're able to like invest more in this stuff and this, that, and the other. But there is like a weird, where I'm still small enough now where ordering some tissue paper is not too expensive because it's only like 100 orders or whatever. Shipping supplies aren't too expensive, but there is going to be like a middle ground where I'm like, I need like 250, but like I'm not ready for like 1,000, so it's still like $9 per thing or whatever.
Yeah, that's where it like squeezes you the hardest.
Yeah. Well, so then you end up charging more than bigger.
Well, your cheaper shipping is it comes from because warehouses get their own shipping deals.
Yeah, they get all kind of discounts and stuff like that.
So that's where like. That's one of the reasons when I shipped the first round of books, I used the warehouse because the warehouse shipping was way cheaper than me driving it over to the post office. Like, sometimes shipping to Canada, for example, is more expensive than shipping something to, say, London.
Yeah.
Which is fucking ridiculous if you think
about
it, right? So, Brazil is... I never want to ship any to Brazil again. Products get lost there all the time. It is a
nightmare shipping to Brazil. Like I've heard horror stories from people who live there that are like, they're just holding they just have the book that I ordered, and
is it just like the customs? Like what? I haven't shipped anything to Brazil.
They want you to pay to have your product released. It's kind of the same BS that happens with our freights here. If they figure out that you have something important that you want, like a product that needs to make it to market or something, they can charge you more and say, hey, you want this thing off the truck, you have to pay extra. In Brazil, it's probably...
It's scummy. Yeah, it's real gross.
What do you call
it?
It's
unfortunate.
It's dirty cops and dirty...
it's corrupt. Like,
corrupt,
I feel like... I mean, I don't know. I hope I'm not saying something sticking my foot in my mouth, but...
From what I heard, we're on a podcast.
Brazil, it's been a nightmare to get... Yeah.
We can say whatever we want. People just believe us, right?
I haven't sent
And I
anything there.
definitely
The
won't.
worst,
Huh?
Say what?
I was gonna say the worst I ever sent was like a sketchbook to Singapore, if I remember right. Which that was weird. It was because like it was like, you know, Saturday morning I woke up and it was like, oh yeah, a new order arrived from Singapore. I was like,
Yeah.
don't know how you stumbled across me, but sure, I'll send it out.
Yeah.
Just because he found you.
Yeah, I was like, whatever. It was a sketchbook, so you know, it's like media mail, like not that expensive, even with like international shipping. I think it was like at the time it was like maybe like $10 to ship, which is
To
like
ship
not
a print,
horrific.
Australia was like $40.
Yeah, that's what it's almost
Like
double
prints
the
are
cost of your
30.
book.
Like
Yeah.
crazy.
Is that like flat file ship, or is that like in a tube?
They're 11 by 14, so it's like too small to really roll. So I do just a rigid mailer, and it's like $40.
Cheaper if it was like in a tube though, or
Well,
maybe.
the tube has more
But
weight.
then I'd be buying tubes, and the tubes are like they have their own rates too. So
The tubes get
I don't
expensive if you
know.
don't buy like 50 of them, and the tubes are usually heavier than a flat file.
Yeah.
Slightly heavier, and that throws
I mean, there could be
off.
a way that is better for me to do. I just don't know that, but
I mean,
I don't sell enough right now to worry about that. So
you're gonna, it's gonna be a thing for you. You just wait. Anytime, I'll put it this way. You and I talk about this, Tawny. I forgot to turn my store off over the holidays, which most artists do, right? Because you're dealing with Christmas, Thanksgiving, Christmas. You usually turn your store off so you can focus on whatever you need to focus on. So when the new year comes, you're ready to rock and roll and you go to it. But I forgot to turn my store off. And on one hand, I got a bunch of orders, but on the other hand, I literally was like, I don't want to package these up in the dead of winter, because it's all in my garage, and then I had to ship them out, and I feel bad because it's like these customers, and so now I ship to that warehouse, but the problem I have there is sometimes they don't ship an order out. I had a person email me this morning, said, hey, it said it shipped, it sent me a tracking number, but it's just sitting wherever it is. It hasn't.
They haven't like picked it up yet or whatever. Like it hasn't been picked up. Because they send out that email when they create the like shipping label or whatever.
The label's been made. It sends you a tracking number immediately. And my warehouse said, oh, we shipped all the stuff out. They must have missed this one. So I'm just like, all right, well, can you drop it off tomorrow? I know it's Saturday, but so who knows? I feel bad for this customer because she's been super chill with me, right? But I mean, whatever. Welcome to working with a warehouse, I guess.
I know.
I had another question for you, but I forgot what it was. By the way, you have one of the cleanest damn studios I've ever seen.
Oh, that's because I shove everything off to the side. No,
I mean, it's just straight chaos to my right. So
we've had these conversations. I go through phases where I'm like, I'm gonna get rid of everything. I'm just now where I'm like, I don't know what I can get rid of anymore that I don't.
I mean, just look around. It's like, I need to clean.
I keep saying that to myself. I need to clean, and it's just there's just things. It's mainly piles of books. It's just I have a hard time getting rid of books, and I feel like if I can get rid of the books and or build. The other thing is I could build shelves, but then at the same time I'm like I'd rather hang artwork. Like,
see, I do the latter. I just build shelves. Oh, I don't have enough space for books. I just build shelves.
You're like that scientist from any movie. You're like mainly that scientist from Wild Wild West. You're building some crazy contraptions with wood that's gonna blow up in your face one day.
Wild West.
That's a throwback.
Like so, that big old computer desk I built partly because I just needed more book space.
I see that.
There's a giant like cabinet right there. Yeah, that holds books and stuff. But also, previously I had like an IKEA desk in combination with like a shitty printer cart from Office Depot or whatever, and I was like, why are these two separate? I should just combine them. And so I just built a giant. Yeah, I just built a giant fucking fuck off desk that like one of my friends calls the mega desk.
It looks. I mean, you got all the space in there too. Like this space is bigger than a walk-in closet, but not so big that I want to eat up the space. I'm actually enjoying this.
Funny enough, the
big room.
I was going to say the space I occupy is about like 100 square feet, if that.
One of the people saying they built their own desk. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just gotta. I mean, I got a sit-stand desk because my friends recommended this. But
that's what that one is too.
Yeah, that's how mine was. And the last one, I just built it.
I've learned that the more surfaces that are in my house, the more places I will just put things.
Sure.
So I try to get rid
It's
of
like
surfaces, and then everything. I've definitely learned that everything has to have a place to live, or else it's just going to stay on the kitchen table forever.
Yeah, I don't like anything on
happens,
the
Alan.
counters downstairs or on the table. I'm always like putting things away immediately because it's like, why is this out? Why
Don't
is
put
this
it
out?
down, put it away. Don't put it
Yeah,
down,
don't
put
put
it
it down, put
away.
it away. Exactly, and that's how I kind of don't operate too much like that in here. Like my problem. I mean, you and I talked about this before too, Johnny. Like my problem is like I pull books off the shelves. That's not the only shelf in my office, but there's one directly under this desk. And I just put it on the floor instead of on the shelf, which is literally right in front of me. You know, like there's like 6 D&D books on the floor that I could have just put away after last night, but they're still sitting here because for some dumbass reason I was just like, it's just gonna.
Well, and I've
That's
also
cool.
noticed, like, so ever since I got diagnosed with ADHD, I noticed one of my ADHD traits is like, if I don't put it away, I'll put it somewhere and be like, I'll put that away later. And what will happen is my brain, like, I need chill spaces, so not too much clutter. And so I'll see a thing and be like, oh, I need to put that away, but I'm in the middle of something else right now. So I'm going to go finish this. By the time I turn away from the thing I need to put away, it's gone. I don't remember it exists anymore until I turn around and see it again. And then I'm already doing something else. So I've learned that like I have to put it away now or it's going
Right.
to sit there for 3 weeks because I'm literally like, I'll see it for a second and then not see it anymore. So like I have to put things away or else it starts to build and then I'm like,
No, I get
and
that.
I need.
I started this right before the show started, and because like that's
I
where
like
I
that chair.
practice guitar. Dude, this chair is on IKEA. It used to be like $100 and something, I think. This thing, somebody in our old condo was gonna get rid of it, and I got it for $20.
Nice.
Yeah, and I've had this chair
That chair,
forever.
our neighbor like put it on in their driveway and there was like 2 of
Yeah,
them.
you
And they were
fucking
like,
take that.
I'll
Yeah,
delete the post when it's gone. And I was like, the tall one's gone because we needed an office chair
yeah.
so that Moose could
My
sit there and
whole
play Valheim with
office,
me.
my whole, I don't know if you guys know Brianna. Andrew knows Brianna. Initially she was helping me design the studio. I was gonna make it like this cool, foresty fall setting. Like I had colors picked out. I had these cool wooden shelves picked out. I had a single seater recliner from IKEA picked out. I had all these ideas, and in the end, it just looks like a fucking mad wizard lives here because it's just mixed matches of furniture. Anything my wife's like, I don't really like this thing I bought, this furniture, I want to get rid of it. I'll be like, just bring it to the studio, and it just ends up in here, like the chair, like.
Yeah, that desk was
So,
free.
yeah,
We went and picked it. Was heavy as shit, but like it was free desk.
free
I've
desk.
got
I
to the point
mean,
where I'm
she
like,
got in
don't.
her. I mean, I sent Andrew a photo of the one she got. She got rid of this desk in her office, and I have a 3D printer directly in the garage below us. I used it. I pieced it together and put it down there. It's like, because I was like,
Yeah.
I don't like just getting rid of furniture that works. This works.
Yeah.
I sit there. But quick side note, anyone who's yes, go with Mad Wizard. Thank you. Anyone who's watching, feel free to ask questions.
Yeah.
And then I'll try to look over here and catch them every X. Because we got a lot of people watching now. Yeah. If you have any questions for Tawny, if you have any questions for Andrew or myself, feel free to shoot them over.
Do you want to know why my life is boring and I like it that way?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to get to. How being boring is giving you life. Because you said that to me the other day, and I was like, on one hand, I was like, dang, that's kind of dark. But on the other hand, I'm like, it makes sense because it's probably a lot more calm.
It is. Yeah, one of the first things that I was like, okay, I'm done trying to chase that thing is like making my house be this beautiful like Instagram worthy like living room with like or like the kitchen. Like we have countertops, we have good appliances. I would love to have like, like what is the quartz or whatever, like marble countertops or whatever that you can just like cook right on. But we like to travel. And so do I want to spend my money on like a fancy thing for the living room, or does our couch work great for us and now we can also go to Hawaii over Christmas? Like
Right.
Yeah.
so
Yeah, no, I get
we
that.
reprioritized, like we sat down and talked about like what do we want? Like what do we want to do? And we want to see a lot of places and like experience other lifestyles and other cultures, because it's like for us it's so important to like I want to try every culture has a version of fried dough. We have donuts, there's beignets in New Orleans, there's malasadas, there's sopapillas. My goal in life is to try every single fried dough on the planet. Like that's what I want.
That's
I don't
not
need
a
like
bad
we
goal.
have a 13-year-old vehicle that has 200,000 miles on it runs great. So I realized that like not chasing all of, for me, like the shiny things that catch my attention, because I do have ADHD and I do get like focused on things, but coming back to like why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I still have the Toyota that I have, and why I, the decisions I make keeps everything like calm and chill. And I realized that like, I mean, even my presence like online for a long time, I was like a little more chaotic and like in things, right? And I was always ramped up about stuff, and it was not healthy for me. And so I've gotten to a point where I'm like, okay, I need to simplify for my own baseline sanity and my own happiness. Like I wasn't happy for so long because it was like I need this and this and this, and I need to be involved in this and this and this, and everything. It was I need to watch this show, I need to see this movie because everybody's talking about this video game. I got to play that, and like I haven't played Hades yet. It's right up my alley. Like I love the Greek mythology. We've had conversations about that, Alan.
Oh, I know. Trust
I love
me.
the Greek mythology. Like I love all that stuff, but like on the one hand, it's like, okay, it's on my wish list on Steam. Someone decides to gift it to me, great, I'll play it. Like, someone gifted me Cult of the Lamb because it had been on wish lists for a while, and they were like, you need this game, and so I bought it for you. I'm like, great, awesome. So I played it, and I love it, and I've been playing it now. I don't know if they want to be named, so you know who you are. Thanks. Or I'll wait till it's on sale and I buy it for myself. But like, that's why like I'm always like behind on video games and like shows, because like I'll get to it when I get to it, and I don't need to be in the hype of it. I've also noticed that like I'm actually less like I'm not as like I don't mind spoilers. I actually tend to look them up if I'm interested in a thing. But what I've noticed, right, it gets me all excited.
I hate the idea of spoilers. I don't care.
Right, but some people do. So what I've noticed though is like being 2 years behind on a show or whatever, don't pay attention to the thing online when everybody's talking about it. So I won't notice those. And then when I go to watch it, I'm blown away by this by the twist or whatever. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't see that coming. But it's just been like
things spoiled all the
and then
time.
I don't get wrapped up in the, and this isn't like a negative thing. Like I'm not trying to criticize anything, but like a lot of, shows have like a lot of hype around them. And then people start fighting over it because they have their own opinions and stuff. And it's like, I've gotten to a point in my life where like, I don't like that. I don't like that people are fighting over a thing that they both love. We both love this thing, but we're fighting about it.
It's not worth it.
It's like the discussion you and I. Well, it's like Tawny and I were talking about. I was going to bring up Supernatural before because you and I both had this discussion about.
And we can talk about it.
Well, for anyone who hasn't watched this season at the end of Supernatural,
you've had a few years.
You have put on some earmuffs because you've had time. But like when the show ended, like I think Tawny was very much like, okay, I guess that's how it's gonna end, and you had acceptance. Whereas I sat there for a minute like that's not cool.
Seething.
Yeah, I was mad
about it. Yes,
because I was
and
just
that folds into the mindset that I've taken on the last few years in all aspects. And I think because of that, number one, we knew Supernatural was going to end. Like it was 15 years running. We knew it had to end somehow. And how can you end a show where every character has died at least once, Dean thousands of times? And how do you have a death more epic than being killed by hellhounds or being tortured by Lucifer himself? Like, or the things that have happened to Dean. How do you out epic that?
In the end?
So
say what?
Well, Andrew hasn't watched it. This question clearly states.
I only got as far as the end of season 5, I think. Well, whenever like the original showrunner finished, he was like, "I told my story. I'm out."
I love the show. Like I have a Supernatural tattoo.
Don't get me wrong. I love the show. Yeah.
Well, then
that show went
right here.
No,
right.
Well, so like Andrew's the one that is the bigger fan of it, and I was just kind of watching it. At first, I was kind of watching it like whenever I was passing through the room and she was watching it. And then I started to sit down and just kind of like during dinner we would like watch random episodes and stuff. So I don't even think I've seen all 5 seasons. I think I've seen
the thing.
like 75% of it.
It's got like a it started having the campy
I know
vibe.
it goes
So
like
pulled me in,
crazy
right?
shit.
Yeah, and then it goes
Yeah.
on this crazy theological angle, and you're like, okay, I'm in for the ride because the writing was good. But then they lost a bunch of writers.
And there's seasons that go up and down and
Yeah,
up
there's
and
seasons that
down.
go up and
like,
down, and then the tail end was while they were dealing with COVID, and it's just a matter of like they were like, what do we do? Do you sit on it for a year, or do you just close it out? And that's what they ended up doing
yeah.
because those actors wanted to move on to other projects,
Wanted
right?
to move on, or
Yeah.
just it needed to have a conclusion. And I know a lot of people weren't happy with it.
I wasn't happy with
even
it, but I had
even
to
the
accept
actors,
it.
like the
Yeah.
actors weren't even, from what I understand, weren't very happy with it. My take at the time was I knew it was coming to an end. Schitt's Creek was coming to an end. The Good Place was coming to an end. It was 2020. A lot was happening, so Supernatural wasn't even like the worst thing.
Right. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I didn't go online and argue with anybody about it, right? I think I voiced my opinion.
No, I didn't either.
you.
I was just like, but also too, like around that time, I was getting deep into like, well, not deep into, but like I was really learning more about like the Buddhist, Taoist, like Stoic sort of belief system, and I don't have to get like super into it. But just the idea of like accepting things as they are and like letting go of attachment to what like I wanted it to be. My ideal ending for Supernatural would have been they finish off the big bad of that scene, which was a big bad. And then I don't know, they're doing something, and then they get a call that there's like some vampire nest, like what happened?
Hey.
But then my ideal
So
ending
it just be
is
like same
they're
shit,
talking
different
about
day
it.
for them.
It's kind of,
And then they're talking about it, and I would have loved to see it timed together. Like they're talking about like what they have to do or where it is or whatever, and then Dean says we've got work to do and slams the trunk. Because in the first episode, that was the last thing he said at the end of that episode was we've got work to do or something like that, and then slam the truck, and that was the end of the episode. I would have like that was my ideal ending, but I didn't get that. But so my journey has been just accepting things that are, and then if it is a thing that like does need my attention to change, like for instance, the local school board.
quick side note before you keep going. I was told to say that the Rogues are here.
Oh, I want to mention them. I definitely want to mention them. Okay. So real quick, but for instance, like this local school board or anything that like needs attention and does need change or whatever, putting attention and energy into changing the things we do need to change, like in society or in your life, but you can also like accept
better
that
energy spent than
this is what's happening.
Complaining about Supernatural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but I mean, even with stuff like that, but like with anything, I can accept that like, okay, I have a flat tire or something. This sucks. I'm gonna have to change the flat tire. But what I've worked on is instead of being pissed that now I'm late, I'm gonna miss the movie, or I'm gonna have to cancel this, or I'm gonna have to reschedule that. I'm like, the tire is flat. What I have to focus on in this moment is this flat tire. Accepted.
Yeah.
Everything else has to wait because it's not in front of me right now. Deal with it right now. I will deal with it. Like, if there's an appointment I've missed, I'm going to have to reschedule it. I'm going to have to do this, that, and the other. But right now, there's a flat tire I have to deal with. And so that's sort of like where my mindset has shifted with almost everything in life is like, this is what's in front of me. Everything else still exists. These fights have to happen. These causes need attention. This needs donated to, this needs, whatever, or, this appointment has whatever. But right now, in this moment, I'm on a podcast and I'm talking to you guys. Like that's what it is right now. Everything from laundry to like social issues. That's
I think in the last like 2 years, you and I have gotten really good at not engaging with social stuff. We just kind of check out, and that's basically what you're talking about. Because we were deep diving into some of those things.
But I'm not exactly checked out so much as I'm not reactionary.
Yeah.
Like online, because like for instance, just something that I'm passionate about. Let me think. Like LGBTQ rights or trans rights and stuff like that.
Sure.
Online isn't the space for me to like get super like in there.
Yeah.
But what I can do as me is at a meeting with, other people or in a social setting and someone says something, I can say, you know what, let's talk about that. And then I can hopefully have conversations with people, around a dinner table, even with people who have different beliefs. And I can be like, I can challenge their beliefs. We can have that conversation. So I'm still in that. I'm still engaged, but not in the unhealthy ways that I was before, where it was like every day on Twitter or Facebook or this or that, like just fighting with people who aren't going to listen anyway. So that's how I've shifted like my focus to like a more kind of personal, because like there's plenty of people that are online and I can retweet their stuff and I can maybe comment my support. That fight's happening and that's good, but like they don't need me in there like being the one to like be the spokesperson of like whatever it is. Yeah. So
no, I think that's
boring.
I think having conversations like this with you over and over throughout the last couple of years, because that's where I'm stand too, right? I used to just dive in there and start talking and voicing my opinion, and then then it spiral into an argument where I'm just like, why am I on social media talking to someone I don't even know about something they don't even they don't want to even listen. So you'd rather have those conversations.
And plenty of people are like do that, and they do it in a way that's like constructive and great. So I'm not criticizing anybody's method for like fighting the fights they're fighting.
Sure.
Just for me, that's where I've shifted to. So
yeah, I got all that shit out of my system like 10 plus years ago or whatever. That like since then I'm like, it's not worth it. I'll look at I do look into it and stuff, and
I'll read up, like I'll read threads.
Yeah,
I'll learn.
I mean, we have our own like I think we have our own little small groups that we discuss things in. I think that's I think that helps.
Like I'm super blessed to have people in my circles that are from all different walks of life that I can like listen to them talk and have conversations with them and like learn things I never knew, because I'm the furthest south you can get in Louisiana. Like you go any further south from where I lived and it's water. So with that came a lot of kind of, not really up in the world type of beliefs. And coming from that environment, fortunately, I was also surrounded by family members that are, very open and loving, but like leaving that world and going into a whole different world of things I'd never seen in my life. Like I wasn't that's a hard thing to go from that life and those kind of beliefs and get to where I am now, where it's like 10, 15, 20-year-old me, we would not get along because I've learned so much about the world, and I feel so like, for lack of a better term, just blessed to be surrounded by people who are patient with my dumb, ignorant ass.
I mean, I don't think 20-year-olds
willing to educate me.
Any of us in our 20s would not have gotten along. None of us.
Yeah.
Like
I think it's such a fortunate position to be in, to have that opportunity to learn and grow in that way, and to turn around and then like hopefully change the hearts and minds of others that might still be,
Tell me about the rogue community.
The rogue community. Okay. It's been a few months now that I came across Rafi and Klee on YouTube. And immediately their videos were very just like uplifting in a way that wasn't the the false positivity you get from some people, like, oh, just smile and be happy. And it's like, that's not that. It's like they're just very I don't know, just positive, encouraging, but real with stuff. Like it's not super easy, but you can do it. Like, they're not in that hustle and grind, like lose sleep or you're never gonna make it mindset either. They're in the very work hard on what you love, and then it just make the moves that you're gonna move, to get to where is going to be good for you, and adjusting. They're very like adjusting fire. Like if this path's not working, shift over here. Like find the thing that you love and you're passionate about, and just figure out how to make that work for you. I feel like I was in a world for a very long time where everybody was trying to figure out exactly what to do to go down a very one path, and I think you all know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, we got it.
It ends up in an item about this big, and everybody wants one. But I've also noticed that like most of the people I'm surrounded by who are doing those kind of jobs are exhausted and burned out so often and not getting paid near what they should be getting paid. And so finding a community that was, based around like this mindset of like, it's okay to do your own thing and to live your own way and still create was very, very refreshing after the environment that I had yeeted out of for so long. So yeah, I'm so happy to have found them, and I plan on sharing. They just built a website that's like a community for artists.
Okay.
That I plan on sharing everywhere. I asked today in the Discord. I was like, "Is it like ready to share? Because I want to tell all my friends." So I'll be sharing that link with everybody. It's
That sounds
Rogue
awesome.
Artist Community.
Yeah, it said the Rogue
Somebody
community.
could
It
put,
just said the Rogue community is an
yeah,
amazing community of artists in our own corner of the internet.
yep. They're in their own
Everett.
little corner. They're just over there hanging out, chilling, and encouraging each other. And there are artists from like everywhere, like jewelry makers and painters and
That's cool.
photographers and all these different types of arts. Because one thing that I definitely noticed in I was in a very seem to be like a very niche sect of artists,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and that it's very lovely, and it's nice to have like that. There's so many wonderful, amazing people in that niche, but if you don't fit, like if you find yourself veering away from like that genre of art or
Sure.
that type of thing, it can feel very alienating.
Yeah.
Like for instance, just being someone who does just black and white line art, not I don't even do a lot of shading and stuff. It's very flat. It doesn't really fit in a lot of places that everybody is trying to fit into. So then you feel like, where do I belong? But there is an
Hit
entire
me.
universe of different kinds of ways to make art out there. So
Mhm.
like, don't be afraid to be like, I love you, and these are my love people, but what's over here too?
I mean, that's like, and that's
And
one of
then
the
I've
reasons
got like,
I set up my own, like, I'm not gonna name my server because it's a private server, but I set it up and I filled it with people like yourselves. You're both in it,
mhm,
that I enjoy talking to, discussing not just art. We talk about all sorts of things, right? We talk about music, talk about
yeah,
movies, talk about books, and I did that on purpose because I wanted to keep that group small. Because Andrew and I are in several other discords where it's full of like over 500 members, and at some point you're like nobody's even listening
Oh,
to either of us.
yeah,
Like we'll drop some like hard knowledge about something we learned, and then people are just arguing about the Harry Potter
something
video
else.
game,
Someone will
something
change it.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I'm not gonna go there. I don't want to, but like it's like everyone, because the problem with those other groups are sometimes they just want to talk about hot button issues or argue about something. When you're like, can we all just talk about some stuff we all like really enjoy and
Yes,
get
and
along?
it's one thing to like have things that because everybody needs to like vent things and stuff like that. So like that's
That's
fine.
yes, I
But
agree. That's fair.
when an environment becomes like all about what like if you can tell me more about the things you hate than the things you love, why? Do you know what I mean? Like there's so many people that they can tell me way more about someone they don't like than they can tell me about something they do.
Well,
And
yeah.
I'm
I
like,
mean,
okay, I'm very much like, okay, we don't like this thing. There's a reason that this thing is something we don't like. So tell me about what you do because I keep seeing I don't want to get into like a specific issue because it's very
yeah. We don't have to get into it. I know
any
exactly what
subject.
you're talking
I'm not
about.
even gonna
Yeah.
name one. But if there's a thing that like don't this thing is a problem. Okay, give me things that aren't. You know what I mean? Give me the things that are good. I don't want to be told to Google it because there's a lot of real bad information out there. So like I need you to hold my hand.
yeah.
Like, tell me about the things you love though. That's the gist of it is tell me about what you love.
Well, I mean, like that's why like the server I made. There's so the server Andrew Ryan has a specific channel that's designed for people to go in there and literally vent, right? And at
Yeah.
first, I was like, this is a brilliant idea. Like people can.
Hey, that came about because of COVID, right?
They came out because of
It
COVID.
was.
We were all dealing with so much stuff, and we needed any place for somebody to listen to us
Those
say
channels tend to become the most active.
it was the
Is the
most active,
venting.
and
It's still the most active.
it's still the most active. But I had to mute it because in my head I was like, I found myself consistently engaging in there, right? Like consistently, like not
And it's
focusing
okay.
on my
It's
work.
okay to vent. It's okay
Oh
to
yeah,
get
I'm
that
not
stuff out
saying
because
you.
you do need to get that stuff out. But I've definitely shifted because I realized that like I was that person that I could tell you more about something I hated than
Mhm.
something I loved. And that was
Yes,
a realization for me to be like, whoa, is that what I want? I don't
because it's
okay,
super easy to hate something. It's
one of
super
the moments
hard
that
to love
changed for
something.
me this is gonna sound silly, but one of the things that changed like my persona, my not persona, but like my presence online was so when Bob Saget suddenly and unexpectedly died, his last tweet was him so excited to be on tour. He was so happy, he was upbeat and all this kind of stuff. And it occurred to me, if I leave my house right now, what's the last thing? And I don't think about like I don't spend time thinking about this, but like when
Yeah,
I
like
do
what
go
are
to
you
put a
leaving?
post out there, yeah, if I'm putting out some kind of like I hate this thing or I hate this person or like this musician's bad or this whatever, this video stupid, and then I go out and I get in a car accident and then I'm gone. Is that the last thing? Because people, when someone passes away, people tend to go see, they want a piece of you, they want to remember you, they want to just know who you were, etc. Is that the last thing that I want someone to
Yeah.
read? So I've been a lot more careful, and it still happens. It's a process, a
I
little bit
mean,
better every
I,
day. But I
I,
try to be more uplifting and a little bit more not the fake like you just be happy and it's great. But like
right,
when I even put things out there that I'm frustrated with, I try to frame it in a way that's like, this is how I would like for things to be better than they
right.
are. If that
I
makes
mean,
sense.
Yeah.
I
I
think a little
try.
bit of
I fail
that
a lot.
is, like that's why, like, usually every night before I go to bed, the last thing I do is post a quote. And
Yeah.
a lot, I've had people message me before to be like, what's with these quotes, man? Why are you spending your time on these quotes? For starters, anyone knows me, they know I love a good quote, like from
I
a
do too.
book or a song, something I just randomly heard or something somebody just told me. If I'm like, that's actually really good. I have a notebook full of quotes, but they're usually like good quotes, not like something janky. I'm not putting quotes out there designed to like piss you off. They're really quotes designed to inspire you. And I've had several artists message me and say, I mean, I had artists at LuxCon walk up to me and say, your quotes keep me going. Like, I
Yeah.
appreciate you posting something. And, that's cool because in my head, I'm like, they keep me going. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a little thing I do that makes me happy, like
Yeah.
memes and
Yeah.
quotes, like,
Yeah. I love when
like,
one of my memes go viral, like the one with the dude throwing the chair and like people
yes,
were real mad, but like
like,
it made me laugh and it made a lot of people laugh and it went viral and
well, it's like when you and
fun.
I are in the private Discord, sometimes you and I would start doing a GIF thing, right? We both send
It will just be talking to each other in
we'll be
gifs.
talking to each other in GIFs for like literally like 20 minutes. And then I think Eli was like, I love it when you guys do this. Because all he's reading is us responding to each other. And it's usually like Shit's Creek, Shit's Creek, Shit's Creek, and then
Yeah,
it
Schitt's
switches
Creek
to
and
and then
Supernatural
it's
are like the biggest
supernatural.
ones.
You just see it
It's
shift.
kind of impressive, to be honest, that you guys
Thank
can
you.
have like nearly a whole conversation.
We
I
know
feel
each
like
other
it's a
well enough to
real
know what we're saying, right? But it's
yeah.
like I'm like, if you can decipher this code, welcome to the
Alan, if
secret
I can
society.
decipher your speech to text, like text messages, I can
Nobody
decipher
can.
anything.
Nobody can. Yeah, my assistants. Anytime I do speech to text when I'm driving to a show, one time I was like, "Let me wait till I pull over, guys, and I'll type what I have to say." They're like, "No, please keep using speech to text because it's fucking." My
It's pretty
voice,
funny.
I guess, fluctuates weird. Fucking speech to text hates me. It always writes things I never. I wrote the word dread, I think, earlier, and it converted it to something like catheter.
I tend to trail off, so mine like just stops picking up my
Yeah,
voice.
it just makes weird words. But yeah, memes, quotes, and yeah, like you're saying, like I never thought about it that way. Like, what's the last thing I'm gonna leave? When I go to bed, I'm thinking I want to leave a good quote. Hopefully, somebody gets up and reads this, and they're a little bit more
Yeah,
inspired to do something
it's
with it,
the
right?
same kind of the same vibe, right?
And
Like
it's a little bit of like it's a mixed bag sometimes. So sometimes it's just the way I'm feeling, right? Um,
yeah.
and so it's
I
just
think
like
and I think it's part of it too is like being able to do that. I know that like a lot of people don't have the Discord servers like we have. They don't have like the friends that they
yeah,
can turn to and talk. Because like I talk to you about like the things that are, a little bit more deep, a little bit more hard, and like I'll rant to you, and you're like, oh Lord, here we go. You can hear it in my voice when I start going. Um, but I used to do that online,
right,
and so I do feel for people who don't have that, and I would just encourage people to just be chill too. Like I remember there was an event where it took us like an hour and a half to get around the first floor of a LuxCon because everybody wanted to stop and say hi to me. And the person got a little frustrated, but they were like, why do you know everyone? And I was like, because they're people. And so they're cool and I talk to them. They're not a ladder for me to climb. They're not,
right.
um, they know that like I'm not desperate to get a job with them. Like if they're an art director or whatever, like my
Right.
work, you'll hire me if you want. If my work fits or whatever. But I just talk to people, we're just here on this planet. We're just two people navigating the world. So like in this moment, let's be chill together. And I feel like it makes people comfortable around me, maybe. To know that like I'm not here. There's no ulterior motive. We're just sitting here chilling, waiting for the shuttle to a LuxCon. Tell me about yourself or whatever.
That damn
Uh,
shuttle.
That damn shit. I just walk now. Whatever.
Dude,
I'll
I was
take
gonna
it.
say, you guys never walked?
Dude,
Oh, yeah, I
walking feels
I
like
walk all the time.
walking is like a double dragon adventure to the Goggle Works. Like,
Oh my god, I love walking. Then
I'm
again,
sure
it's
you
because
do.
because it's like the one time I ever get where I get to walk in a city for one.
I mean, let me
And
put it
then
this way:
two,
during the
like
day,
I get like nice fall weather. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. This is not Florida at all.
it's been raining every time we've been there the last 2 years. But during the day, I don't mind walking. But at night, like I've walked at night before, and I don't like walking without a group.
I will
So,
walk with groups. Otherwise,
Yes.
Oh,
Just
I'll walk by
asking for it.
myself, but I'm quick with the blade. So anyway,
Yeah, I'm not worried about
yeah.
you guys. I mean, I'll just, blend into the shadows. What's up, Ben? No one will see me going. But yeah, I mean, it's like one of those, it's what you mentioned before is like, it's the same, like, people are always like, why do you know so many people? Or how do you know so many people? And it's like, just, I network well. I talk to people, right? I'm usually like just asking them how
Yeah.
they're doing. Like, I know
Well,
a
and
lot
the
of,
word network always has like this weird connotation to it. But I mean, I guess
it's not
technically
meant to
that
be
is, I have a
negative.
network of people that I could
Yeah.
tap into, and I don't though. I got fussed at by one of our mutual friends who was like, "Why didn't you tell me that you launched this? I would have shared it everywhere." And I was like, "Oops."
I mean, they got 19 days. Tell them to share it.
I know.
Like,
I'm like, I thought you'd see it at some point. But
no,
no, to
just,
me it's never networking. It's just chilling. It's just hanging out.
I mean, it's just like,
But yeah, I think that's why it's been easier for me to be able to shift my focus from ranting and raging on Twitter to being a little bit more of I want to be a soft place for people to land.
yeah,
That
that's a
was
good
like
way to say
a
it.
phrase I heard someone say about raising kids. It was like be the soft place to land, and I was like, I want to be that everywhere.
I've
Like
tried to, I'm trying to think of saying a way to say it without sounding like a complete dick about it, but I've tried to pump the brakes a little bit on how available I've been for everybody because I felt like
yeah.
I was
You have to
super
have your own boundaries.
yeah.
Rafi and Clee did a whole like episode about like boundaries.
We'll post that.
I don't know if
Like,
that was
but I found myself super worried about all my friends. Andrew knows some of this because I ranted to him about it too. But I found myself
Mhm.
stressed out about all my friends. And then on the other hand, I found that some of those friends were not as like reciprocative. Reciprocative is not a word. They were not reciprocating it back my way. And I felt initially I was like, hey man, if I was there for you, you should be here for me. But that's not how that works. But also like why am some of these individuals, I was like, why am I stressed about what's happening to them? They can handle their own. They know where to find me if they need me, right? And that's but I had to like accept that. I had to accept the fact that they're all adults. They can find me if they need my help. I can keep going on my journey. They know where to get to me. We don't live in the fucking 1960s or whatever where they have to send me
Yeah.
they have to call me on a landline.
And I think it's
like
important
they know how to
too,
find me.
like knowing
Like,
your
and you're
own
not there, right?
boundaries.
Because you're usually like at the park, like
But I think one of the first things you have to know about yourself is what your own boundaries are and what you're capable of. I had to set a boundary for myself because, if someone, I've also had to accept and come to terms with letting people go if I have to and not having hard feelings about it. Like, I've had a boundary crossed where someone was demanding action on my part that I wasn't comfortable with, and it did not go well. Um, but I
yeah.
wouldn't ask that of other people. So it's like you have to know your own boundaries and you have to be willing to
So
accept that like if that person's going to cross a boundary that like is personal to me and like important or whatever, then
yeah.
hey,
I mean,
it
somebody said
great
something to me.
knowing you. Like
Somebody said something to me a couple, like, literally maybe around December, on the holidays, and maybe a little bit before. But they said, focus on what you need for yourself first, right? And whether that's your
put your own
artwork,
mask on first, right?
right? You're
Like
gonna
Mhm.
take
your
care
own
of yourself
oxygen
first.
mask.
Your own, take care of your family, take care of yourself, take care of whatever you need
Yeah.
first. and what everybody else gets from you is the excess. Like whatever
You
you
can't
have
fill
left.
from an empty cup is another way to
Yeah.
say it. Like I've heard
Yeah,
people say
whatever you have
can't fill
left
from an
over
empty-
and whatever's spilling out, that's what you give to everybody else. Because otherwise, like, what I found was, and I had several people reach out to me, right, who were like, "You're so worried about everyone else. Who's worried about Alan? Who's taking care
Right.
of Alan?" I mean, you said this to me. Tawny had this conversation with me, and several other people had this conversation with me at IX. And
Yeah.
I didn't really think about it that way until it was like thrown in my
Yeah.
face. Then I was like, "Yeah, you guys are right. Who is?" And I was
I
like, I
spent
assume
so
the rest of
many
you guys have
years-
my back. You know, like I just
I spent so
assumed.
many years being way too available. Like you said, you've been
Oh,
where
yeah.
like I would
Totally.
do anything and everything for like a friend or someone I thought was a friend. I'd stick my neck out over anything, and there will be people who will take advantage of that. And so you have to know your own boundaries, I feel like being a soft place to land. I got to be that for me too.
Sure.
And if someone is going to be like upset about a boundary that I've set, then I'm not mad. They might be, but like, I know my boundaries. I'm a soft place for you to land, but I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to do this. Like, and I think people are starting to realize that and then like learn what my boundaries are. And I haven't really been challenged in a while. So
Yeah. I mean, I keep telling people to
because-
stop. Like, I was literally like, "Stop! Please stop mistaking my kindness for a weakness." And like,
Yeah.
because it was.
Oh yeah, and you
really-
can. I am. You also have to be. I think also one way to protect your own boundaries and your own, like mental wellness is not being so conflict averse, because conflict is going to happen in life. It doesn't have to be a huge fight or a blow up, but being so like averse to conflict that you're not willing to set a boundary like that, that's where confusion happens. And then someone thinks that like you're more available than you are, and then people just get hurt that way. So I really think that like good boundaries, setting good boundaries among friends and among yourself too, like for your own self, is really important to maintain healthy friendships and relationships. And it's all a work in progress. Like these are things that I've learned the hard way because I'm stubborn, and the only way I learn things is to mess it up real bad.
It's funny listening to all this because like I feel personally like I kind of on the opposite end. Like I don't really have a problem setting boundaries for myself and all that, but I also feel like both of you guys are probably way more empathetic than I am in that regards. I just lost my train of thought. Hold on, it'll regain. So like I have no problem talking with people and stuff, but I do have like to your points, like you guys were both like, yeah, I just talk to everyone kind of thing. It's like, yeah, I am not like that. Like, fun fact, I was extremely intimidated by both of you the first time I saw both of you guys. Which
Me?
Yeah, Alan. No, I knew of you before Spectrum.
Oh, great.
Not be like,
No,
I got
that's
you. AllenPanakal. That's AllenPanakal. He fucks hard, kind of thing. No, it was just more like
that sounds worse.
No, it was just more like which AluxCon was it? It was in Allen. Wait.
So I was
Yeah,
at the last time was in Allentown was the first time I went to AluxCon. So I want to say that's
Me too, I think.
20.
Shit, no wait, where is it? Oh, Reading. Fuck me. I just
Reading.
no.
Yeah,
I saw your work for the first time in Reading, and like you were like right next to Eli and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So, like I saw both your work. I was like, oh okay, like that shit's awesome. But, like I don't like going up to a person just randomly introducing myself. Alan, you know this well enough.
I know.
I really that is I stress about that a lot. But like once I'm in a conversation, then I'm okay. But yeah, no, like that was that, and then like. Pretty sure I saw you at like the LuxCon the year afterwards, or maybe.
Yeah.
You were wearing a Wonder Woman leather jacket.
That's Tawny. Yeah. She has a pink jacket.
Right? I had a shirt and leggings, I think, that year, and a tutu. I think that was the year I had a tutu and leggings.
I was trying to remember. It was the Halloween where a bunch of people were dressed as Wonder Woman.
Yep.
Like a costume thing. Yeah. No, but I do remember. And then like I think I saw your work around the same time. I was like, ooh, shit. But I just could not bring myself to like. I can never like just interject myself.
I mean, but the thing is too, like just kind of being around, like, because I mean, I think I'm just I kick in doors and then I'm like, here I am. Like, but
Yeah, no,
you
but
know,
like, yeah,
if
like
you're not that
I
personality,
think
like
like
being around and just sort of like, worming your way in there.
That's like
Just worm your way
a
in
but the way we do that
there.
is like
I think
it's
like
a trained thing that we both do. I think like I understand where Andrew's coming from because I used to be
Yeah,
like that. I used to be like, can somebody introduce me to this guy? Because I'd like to talk to them, right? Like,
yeah.
but now I've gotten to a point where I'm just like, fuck it, I'm gonna talk to somebody and like I messaged you. I told you just the other day I got into a conversation with this girl at the Ace Hardware. We were talking. She saw my tattoos, and then we started talking about Mighty Nine and then Supernatural, and then well, I was like, this is great. I met someone who likes the same stuff I do until she asked me out, and then I was like, I gotta go.
And
You
you're
know,
like,
like,
oh wait, hold on,
oh, this is going
boundary.
places, and I gotta get the fuck out of here now. Thanks, but like, it used to be harder for me to like. So Andrew, you and I thought you and I met at Spectrum before LuxCon because Andrew and I became friends because we were both waiting in line for a portfolio review. I was actually
like
waiting.
I knew of your work, but like I didn't like
You didn't come talk to
know
me.
too much about you. Yeah, I didn't know too much about you. Like you were talking to Eli at the time, and I was like, I don't want to. That was, I think, the year that I first
I
saw
remember
your
that
work was
because that's
also
the
the
year
first
Tawny and I were
year that
next to each other.
yeah,
Eli
and
was
I think
helping
that
me
was
at
like
my
the
booth.
first year. Like the first year I came back to a LuxCon after like 4 or 6 years, I want to
Okay.
say, of like absence. So I was just still kind of trying to get like the lay of the land again and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like once Spectrum, like once like we were in line at Spectrum, whatever, I was like, oh yeah, cool. Like I'll talk to him now.
He's
Like
like,
I
he
just
can't
kind
run
of
away from me now. I'm gonna talk to him.
I can't leave. I'm stuck in this line.
I mean, I
They're
still
good
remember
for,
that. I
like-
still remember that because I left my table and I had to leave. And I was just like, wait. I remember I was waiting for a review from Lauren, Panpinto, and like they capped it while Andrew and I were in line, and then shifted us to the other AD. So we just stayed in line because we were like, all right, we'll just go over here now. But then I remember as I was getting to the front of the line, Lauren basically reprimanded me. She was like, what are you doing in line? I was like, I was waiting for a review from you, but now I'm over here with Zoe. And she's like, you and I are friends. You don't have to wait in line. And I was just like, I didn't know that. Like, and then I wouldn't even look over my shoulder. I refused to look behind me because I'm like, there were like all these people. I'm like, this is awkward,
Yeah,
but then
just
Andrew and I
go
just
for it.
started
Like, I was
chatting.
gonna say, those kind of events are great for that very reason, like being in line for something or sitting in a room waiting for like someone's panel to start and you're sitting next to people. It's hard, and because I used to be really shy too, believe it or not. But
I
just
don't
like
believe it.
I literally just start like I will be like, I really like your boots. Like it won't even be about anything, and then they'll be, oh, thanks or whatever, and you can just be like, oh yeah, I saw you at such and such, and just kind of start a conversation. But everybody at those events feels awkward and out of place and shy. You're
That's
not
just
the
a
only
natural.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, totally.
it's funny. Like yeah, sit me down at a dinner table. Sure, I have no problem.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's how I met Ryan Pancoast and who else? Scott. I think Scott Gustafson, and then that's how I met Eric Giss. Now I think about it, that was back in Altoona too.
Oh wow, yeah, that was a while
Went to
ago.
the
I forgot
one in
what
Altoona.
yeah. Like I forgot what the hell we were ranting about, but yeah, it was like him and Meadow, and then another friend of mine, Mike Sass, that I met the same year. But yeah, like we ended up like getting stuck at the bar, or whatever, at the Altoona hotel, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like in that kind of
I mean,
situation,
we're all
I'm
there.
good.
Like we're all there at the same event, so we already have
Yeah, that's your in,
Just
right?
first time? Oh, cool. Were you here last year? Oh, cool. Do you have a table? Like, there's a lot of things that you can just like, try to strike up a conversation. Now I just walk in and I'm like, "What's up?"
Right.
Kick down the
You're
door.
like, you know who I am. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
kick in the door. I drop my knife on the floor and it flips open, and people are like, "What
Which
the
she
hell?"
absolutely did at LuxCon last year.
Fell out of my.
Tawny just like walks away from the group, and this blade just like pops out and falls on the floor. We're all like, you dropped your blade there.
Oops.
We are a little bit over time.
A little
Just fine.
bit.
It's all right. It's all right.
Were there
we
any
should
last minute questions or things you wanted to?
Yeah, I'm gonna say if there's any
Yeah.
last minute questions, shoot them in now. I'll keep us live for another 5 or 10 minutes. Let's mention that you have a Kickstarter.
Stargazing.
19 days
Colors
left.
of Zodiac.
Yep. You got 19 days left, and if anyone wants to share it, that would probably help out. You're well over your funding goal, which is awesome. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
But I really want to
your
get to that stretch
$5,000
goal to get perforated pages. So
What's the
share
number
the
on
link.
that?
5,000.
Okay.
So we're a little over halfway.
You're halfway there. You got 19 days. I'm sure it'll
might make
take
it.
off. Yeah. If I'm just gonna. There we go. Let's see. Ben said one of his favorite memories of IX last year was Tawny's joke when you would get up to leave or before you walked off. What joke were you saying as I got up to leave, Tawny?
All of them. No, it was the way I would like deliver a joke? Is that what he's talking about? How I would be like, why?
Ben, what are you referring to? Was she making fun of me, or did she
like
have a
like the
specific
melon like joke or the beaver one? Like, are you talking about like my
the
joke
melon
delivery?
joke?
The melon
I was
joke.
like,
He
yeah,
said
remember
yes.
when I was
All the little
Yeah.
jokes. Yes.
yeah. So like we were at the buffet or whatever, and I would sit down and be like, oh my God, do you know why like the melon is up there like by it's like single? And people would be like, what? What do you mean? And I would be like, because it cantaloupe. Bye. And I would just like run away. Or I would be like, guys, what? You don't like beavers, right? Like the creature with the like flappy tail. And people are like, yeah, of course we know beavers. I'd be like, what do they like say when they like hear running water? And people would be like, what? I don't know what a beaver says. I'd be like, damn it. And then I would run away.
Yep.
I'd do a little kick.
Okay, that's what Ben's talking. Also, Belinda said we should come to Australia. Belinda, you got giant fucking spiders there. I'm never coming to Australia. It's literally.
I would do it. I'm
kaiju
from
fight.
Louisiana though. We have alligators and like, you know.
Yeah, but the
giant
spiders
things.
in Australia are like the size of fucking manhole covers, man.
But they're huntsman spiders. They're scared of you, and they do like a little scaredy dance where they like, and it's crazy.
Yeah, Sean Hendricks. Yeah, man, we'll be at IX. Oh, I will anyway.
Well, it's
have a
remains to be
table.
seen if I'll be there this year. But
It's always a
Same.
mystery. Oh, Sean
I will
messaged on
be at-
Facebook, so Facebook must have
I could
activated.
say the events that I'm definitely going to be at this year so far.
Yes, name the
I'll be at
shows you're
Planet
gonna
Comic
be.
Con.
I'll be there.
So Planet Comic Con in March, WhimsyCon in
Nice.
Denver. I'm on the wait list for Denver in July because I was stubborn about signing up.
I'm
too
not
early.
coming to Denver
That's
this
okay.
year.
Yeah.
I have a question about Planet Comic Con real quick. Do they still do the weird bullshit Spectrum con
No.
inside the con?
They tried.
So they
like,
tried that
they
last
fully
year, but
absorbed it?
Spectrum doesn't exist. They tried to do that last year, and all the people I spoke to that were part of, I'm not going to name names, but people are telling me that they were not supposed to list us in the category as Spectrum artists.
Yeah.
You're only supposed to be in the main artist. Spectrum
Just
does not
artist
exist
only,
right now. It's not part of that show. They shouldn't have done that last year. They got away with it, and they definitely are not doing that this year. If they do, it's bullshit.
I was wondering. I was like, huh? Do they still?
It was
do that
cool
or
when
not?
Spectrum was a thing and we were all together, but
Yeah.
I mean, here's the
Yeah,
thing. I did last year was the first time I did it with my own booth, and it wasn't bad. It's only an 8-hour drive from here, so I'm doing it again this year.
he's
If I
doing it
don't-
because I made him.
That is true. I was literally thinking about canceling and not going, but then I was like, it'd be nice to
There, and then he was
see
like,
people. I don't know. We'll see. This year's the year of me. Literally, like, I'm going to be cutting down a lot of shows. I'm probably.
yeah, and I mean, it's the kind of show where like if it's not worth it going forward, then
I mean, I'm operating on a high level of less shows because I feel like shows aren't 100% sustainable in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
But I did hear C2E2
Ideally,
has all these
you
opens.
should like. I feel like ideally anybody that's doing conventions should be figuring out ways to get passive income and just income outside of just convention.
Correct.
Conventions are great for finding new audience and stuff like that, but as we've learned with like COVID and everything, it's like that
Don't
could go
bank
away
on 'em.
real
Yes.
easy.
Yes, that can
know?
go
Yeah.
away. It can go away overnight.
They're a
and then
great thing
you're
to do, but it shouldn't be the only thing. I feel like.
I don't think the Spectrum Awards exist, Sean, because there's no Spectrum.
Yeah.
So like, I did find
Not
an
sure
Andrew.
when
Still
they're
trying to
going to
figure out
do
what to do with
Spectrum
it.
again. Yeah.
Well, there's a mixed bag of things that's happening that I'm not going to name because they're all rumors to me until they're facts. But C2E2 I heard has open spots, and then I was trying to figure out why, and I realized Andrew that MegaCon apparently is the same weekend as C2E2 this year.
Yep.
Oh.
So once
That's
again,
fun.
Florida is fucking me. Like,
You know
get
what?
it
That's,
together over there.
No, that's.
I know. I feel if it's a show I can do.
That's Informa.
Yeah. Whatever it is,
it?
there's some show happening over there in Florida.
No,
Ben, you're
it's
doing
MegaCon,
MegaCon?
but
When
no,
is
it's the convention. Well, first off, MegaCon is like Schrodinger's cat. It's like the date's not locked down until you directly observe it. because I think this year it's in March for some unfucking
That
reason.
C2E2 is at the end of March.
Last year it was in May. The year before that, April.
Well, I mean, last year
I
C2E2
don't
was the
know.
same weekend as Gen Con, which is stupid. So,
The year
Yeah.
before COVID, it was in June.
ugh.
I actually know the reason for that. It was because like the convention center was undergoing some construction, and they like instead of like saying like, "Hey, we can't book anything," then they were like, "We're going to book everything on the front." Everyone just kind of squeezed in.
That's what they did.
Dates.
That's what they did in 2021 when shows came back after COVID. The first show was Dragon Con, and literally a week after that was Gen Con. A week after that,
yeah,
was
everyone's trying to like
Origins.
Yeah,
shove
they
it
were
all
trying
in
to,
the
like,
fall.
I was tired. I'm going to be tired this year too.
Yeah.
What other?
And then I have Colorado Springs Comic Con
Yes.
because it's local. And it was good for us last year. It was decent for us last year. And then I just confirmed for Salt Lake FanX this year.
So I heard Salt Lake's pretty good. So I'm curious.
The
I
thing
wanna
I
know.
do love, and every show has its ups and downs, its pros and cons. The thing I love about Salt Lake is, you know how most shows will put the artist alley like kind of over here, like in the corner, it's back there somewhere. Salt Lake puts it front and center. Here's the entrance. Here's artist alley.
Perfect.
So it kind of sucks if you have an exhibitor booth or a vendor booth because then
Yeah,
you
they
don't
gotta
know
go
where you'll
in.
be. You'll be back there somewhere. But if you're perpetually artist alley like me, it's a pretty good show.
Andrew, it's March 30th to April 2nd, which is the same weekend as C2E2.
So you know who to blame for that is the runners of MegaCon, which is Informa or Pro. Yeah, Informa. The same people that do Dallas Comic Con.
Oh man,
And I
fuck
think
that show
Denver.
too.
I think Denver as well.
The Dallas show I'm gonna say it online.
An
or
expo
on
in
air.
Toronto.
Go fuck itself. I've never done a show in Toronto. I was looking at a show in Montreal just because I wanted to party in Montreal.
The Fan Expo show in Toronto, like all the Informa events, from like friends that I've heard attending it, they were like, "Oh, it used to be good back in the day. Now it's just gotten like too big and like you can't do anything." And it's like, yeah, that fucking sounds like MegaCon.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Dallas Comic Con, according to Steve.
Steve. Just okay. I'm gonna give you guys 4 more minutes, guys. If you have any questions for Tawny, ask away. Everyone's asking about Spectrum and stuff. It's like I'm not at liberty to answer about Spectrum, guys. I can't. So
don't know.
I don't want people coming after me in the middle of the night in a black van. So, by the way, that's a insane system you got behind you. Is that Sam's?
This?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that.
I have one that's similar. It's a couple years older, and then we got that one because he couldn't play Red Dead with us.
That's right.
And then now we play Valheim on it. That's all I do.
I have not played that yet. I mean, I tried it for a day with you, I think, and then I was like, those kind of games just aren't mine. I need games that are fast.
Gotta, yeah.
I think I could train myself to be slow. Like I tried playing Final Fantasy with my friends, and it's beautiful, and the music's amazing, but it's just the pacing. I can't get with it, man. That's
what that's part of like some of the things that I realized was like I realized what I like in a game, and people try to get me to play this, that, or the other, and it's like it's a wonderful
did try
game.
Destiny with us.
I'm happy for you. I did, yeah, and Destiny's okay. I have to be in the right mindset for Destiny.
Yeah.
Because I used to play, Medal of Honor.
Tawny played some Destiny with me, and she got to hear all the chaos that is my friends and I just shitting on each other while we play that game. Like
I do miss the chaos of Red Dead though. Like Red Dead Online with our group was like.
I mean, I got to get back in there someday. I actually really enjoyed Red Dead because it's a beautiful game.
My feelings are hurt too much.
2 minutes, guys. If anyone's got any questions, you got 2 minutes, and then I'm gonna take us.
So before we part, I want to share a Buddhist koan with everybody, and it's one that I remind myself of almost every day. The student was weighing some flaxseed, and the teacher said, "What is the Buddha?" And the student said, "This flaxseed weighs 3 pounds." The end.
What?
So when you're searching for, what the Buddha is or whatever some question is, the student was weighing something. They were doing a task. And the teacher asked them, "What is the Buddha?" And he said, "This flax weighs 3 pounds. This is what I'm doing right now. This is what the Buddha is." And
Goes
that's
back. That goes
very
way back to
peaceful.
your flat tire.
Goes back to the
being
to the flat
being
tire thing.
mindfulness of everything in the moment.
Yep.
Hmm.
Mindfulness is like this weird, this like catchphrase, or like this word, like a button word, like that people will throw out there and don't really kind of understand what it means, but it just
Yeah.
means that like right now, this is what's happening in front of me. Because a lot of the times we're so busy tweeting about what's happening or taking pictures of what's happening, and those are also important. Take pictures, but also be there though. That's why I always forget to take pictures because I'm in there. Be in the moment that you're in right now, good or bad, because emotions and scenarios and events are temporary. And then in 10
Yeah.
minutes, be in that moment.
I mean, I was telling Nancy earlier how like I was talking to my dad. I had to visit my parents, and the amount of times I told my dad like accept what's happening and move past it. Like accept that's happening, move past it, because he was complaining about certain things that he has no control over. So I'm like, accept it. Accept that you have no control over this. Move past it. Like otherwise, you're gonna spiral thinking about it. And my dad's really old, so he's
I
probably not gonna
spiral
move past
so
it.
easily. So
Yeah, I think you and I have gotten a little bit better at moving. We're better than we
I've
were.
gotten where I can identify
So,
it. I can tell.
yeah.
Something will
Yeah.
happen, and then I'll be talking about it. And like you can ask Moose, I'll be in the middle of saying something. I'll be like, I'm spiraling, and then I can.
Yep.
And I'm not even. I don't even. I'm working on like not getting frustrated with myself that I'm spiraling. I identify that I'm spiraling, and then I'm like, okay,
Yep.
this is what I'm feeling right now, and that's okay. Emotions are temporary. It will pass. This is what I feel right now, and then in a few minutes, I'll feel better, especially if I recognize that I'm spiraling and I go fold laundry or I go wash a dish. Like
Do
manual
anything to get your
labor
mind off
is
it.
also a
Yeah.
good way. Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes I'll like just vent to a friend and I'll be like, huh, I got that off my chest.
Yeah.
That's all I needed to do. Like I just needed
Yep.
somebody. Like I sent Andrew a whole ass rant the other day, and I was just like, I just needed somebody to read what's in my head and just acknowledge it. Like I'm not expecting solutions. I'm just expecting you to say something. Andrew said, "Well, that's sucky," and I said, "Yeah."
Sometimes you just want someone to be like,
that's
"I'm
all,
really sorry that
yeah,
happened," or
that's
"That
literally
sounds like it really sucked."
yeah, that's literally all I wanted. But like that's sucky.
And then you're like, you know what? It did.
It was sucky of that person to do that to me, and that's it. I like laughed at that and I moved past it. Like literally 10 minutes of my time was wasted, and that's fine, right? I didn't spend the next couple hours talking about it or ranting about it because I was just like, there's nothing I can do about it. But I do have all this other shit I need to finish, Okay, there's a question. Do you need the blanket or the sword?
What?
Do you need the blanket or the sword? I don't know. Why not both?
Like if I had to choose,
A
I feel
philosophical
like I would.
thing, isn't it?
It's
Huh? Yeah.
yeah, Levi, you gotta explain that a little better, man.
Do you need the blanket or the sword? I would choose
Said,
the blanket.
being present and mindful is one of the reasons I am drawn to Taoism. Way to come in at the last second with this, Levi. I'm trying to close this
And
out,
next
man.
week on
Oh, here we
Panakal
go,
podcast.
When someone is in trouble, it helps you understand what they need.
Yes. Oh, don't. Oh, so he's
Okay,
saying.
so that's
Ask
like
them, do you
saying
need a
that's the
blanket or a
same.
sword?
That's
I
the
like
same
that.
way of
I like
saying.
that.
So like
Yeah.
what I tend to
Sounding
say
board,
to.
or do you need me to come
Right.
to
Yeah.
task
So
with you?
that's what I tend to say. So whenever Nance is a little upset, what I tend to say to her is, "Do you want comfort or solutions?" Because my immediate
There's another.
go-to is to
Reading
find
is
solutions. You and I are the
Yep.
same, Andrew. You and I are like, here's what you could have done to fix that. Here's what you didn't do to fix that. But then that doesn't help. So if you say, "Do you want comfort or solutions?"
Very bad about that.
Sometimes they just want to.
There's another one. That one reminds me of this whole conversation reminds me of another story. Sorry, finish what you were saying.
No,
I got excited.
I kind of like the blanket or sword that fits for us, but
Yeah.
some people don't understand it. So if you say something like, "Do you want comfort or solutions?" That's one way. There's multiple ways to say it, is my point. I don't mean that Levi's way is bad. So
No, I like that. Do you need a blanket or a sword? Sometimes you just want someone to wrap you in a blanket, and sometimes you want to help them take up a sword. There was another Buddhist koan or whatever. I don't remember it exactly, but someone fell down in the snow, and they were very upset, and they were cold, and they were complaining, and so the Buddhist monk laid down in the snow next to them, and the person got up and walked away. And the whole thing was that they didn't need anything, that they just needed someone to like be down there with them in that moment, and then they were able to get up on their own and go away. So it's kind of that thing, knowing what someone or asking what they need in that moment.
I will say one thing before we go offline is my cousins sent me. I sent you this guy last week or earlier this week. I think Tawny J Shetty. I think is how you say his last name. He's trained by monks essentially. So I did a deep dive on this guy. He's a super cool dude. And then my cousin sent me a book called Think Like a Monk. I think is what the title was. It's super good. Now initially I scoffed at it. Hang on. I don't know if I'll get in trouble for showing it or not. It's Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. And initially I looked at it like, why the hell would you send me this? Like, I'm a pretty calm person for the most part. But also I was dealing with, I have anger. I'm quick to anger if I feel like you're betraying me at any point. Yeah. So, or if you're trying to hurt any of my friends, I'm equally as quick to anger. So I guess I would pick up the sword. But like this book has got like lots of useful, like it's really much edging on like Buddhism stuff too, because he's, like I said, he was trained by a bunch of monks. So it's literally learning to just practice like mindfulness, staying a little calm in situations, and literally like control what you can control and learning to move past it if you can't, right? Because you can't, whatever. We can deep dive this forever, and we're like we're gonna go over time. So Andrew, do you have anything else to add to that before I?
Nope.
Andrew's like,
want us to do another episode where we do deep dive into that.
We can deep dive
like
about
this
it,
video and share it.
Yes, totally. And I will try to figure out how to schedule the live video, which is something I never learned.
That way you can give them the link ahead of time, so they don't have to like sit there and wait for it to go live and then like refresh.
It just takes some. Yeah, you're right.
We can do that in YouTube. But can we do that in Twitch?
I don't know.
Can't do that in Twitch. Twitch just goes live when it goes live. But I'm trying to learn how to do it in YouTube. But okay. So for real quick, everyone's watching. Thank you. I appreciate it. We had a lot of people.
Thank you so much
this time. So good job.
Yay!
You're popular. I'm going to.
Listen,
so next week
I'm going to be intolerable if you say that. So
her head just got a little bigger. Next week we're gonna do this show probably either on Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll make an announcement on Sunday. We got Brian Colin on. He's gonna talk about his Kickstarter for Vaskrim. But so yeah, it's another reminder. Tawny's got a Kickstarter out. It's called
Stargazing, Coloring the Zodiac.
Yeah, so feel free to share. I'll drop a link to it in this video once it goes live on YouTube and Twitch. Thanks everyone's watching. I'm gonna take us offline right now. Anyone else has any questions, you can shoot me an email. It's in the.
You can find me on socials.